How you doing, everybody? It's Jay Nanda of Alamo True Metal coming to you in the Barrio, straight from the Barrio, downtown San Antonio, with a couple of the guys from Upon a Burning Body for a very special occasion. They just dropped their new album yesterday, Southern Hostility, and we are going to sweat it out and rock the hell out tonight for their CD release show. And I have the pleasure of going into the pit right now with singer Danny Leal, guitarist Ruben Alvarez. Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Doing great, man.
Fantastic to have you here. Wow, another milestone in Upon a Burning Body's history. A history that has just been climbing up and up with every release, every show you guys play. Southern Hostility came out yesterday. Let me hear it in your words, because I can't wait to hear some new tracks tonight. What were you guys looking for in the approach to this album as far as songs, the makeup of it, the overall feel?
Well, for me, but lyrically, positivity is what the initial, but the way we do it is very aggressive.
Yeah, empowering, and I think the whole vibe was just to bring that energy back, and that raw feel back, and bring it hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what we did.
But that's obvious, like you hear it, so
yeah, exactly.
As long as you think we achieved that, then we're good.
We're good.
Well, the first single and video is King of Diamonds, just a heavy, hard-hitting tune. The album's on Seek and Strike. Go out and check it out and go get it. Just for you guys, why was that the first single? What were you trying to achieve with that? And just setting the tone. Obviously, the first song of an album after the Southern Hostility intro that you guys will hear on that record, hard-hitting, setting the tone for a record, generally speaking, is usually the case. Is that what you were going for with this one?
Yeah, I think when we wrote the song, it was one of the first ones that were like, this is the sound, like, this is it. And the whole record just kind of fell into place after that. And for us, it held us. For me personally too, it held a special place because I was like, this just feels right. This is what we need to be doing. And we all agreed that this should be the first single that people hear. This fast-paced, aggressive song that doesn't really have any structure. It's just kind of, but it works so beautifully together.
And Danny, was there any special difference between this one and previous records as far as your vocal approach, how you were trying to sound in the studio, any type of vibe you were trying to capture?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different things. I mean, the way it was written was completely different from other things. I reverted back to the way I used to write songs when we were like a local band. And what I mean by that is I would have an idea of what I felt was the best thing to do, and it wouldn't have any words. I would just go in there and mumbo jumbo something, and the guys were like, yeah, that worked, and then put lyrics to it. And I hadn't done that probably since our first album.
Yeah, recording on cassette.
Yeah, so I did that for this album. I went back, so I'm gonna write the way I used to.
Yeah.
And then of course the songs that Ruben, the riffs that he was making, allowed me to sing in a certain way to complement the best that I could.
Yeah. It was less meticulous. It was just real free flow.
Yeah, it was more feel.
Yeah, feel.
Yeah. Than kind of like structuring, and trying to do all that kind of paperwork on the song. Just put it in there. What does it feel? And you need to do, and we felt it and did it.
Well, of course, tonight is special because it is a CD release party, but also Sirius XM and Octane Liquid Metal's Jose Mangin is here co-hosting, emceeing the whole thing. He landed in San Antonio earlier today. I know you guys go way back with him. And Till the Break of Dawn, I believe you guys have performed several times with him. How did you originally hook up with him for that song? How long have you guys known Jose? How did this whole thing get the ball rolling?
We met him in Mayhem.
Yeah.
First Mayhem we did?
Yeah, first Mayhem.
We just had interviews, and he was one of the ones that we did, and we instantly just like bonded, clicked, and like he was just like one of us.
I think the roots, the Hispanic roots, obviously it hit home for him, and we just broke down, and ever since then we've just been homies, and every time we go back to California we do interviews, and
I feel like we really exchanged numbers like that night or something, and we're just like in touch, kind of, and since then, we've gone to his house and had dinner, and we've gone out, and he's just a friend. He's a wonderful person.
Yeah, glad to know him. He was the only guest vocal spot on that whole record, right? It was just so sad.
Was it just like, hey, how would you feel about singing on one of our songs? Is that
well, we wrote the part, and we wrote it in Spanish, and then it was like a no-brainer. Like everybody had the same thought, like Jose needs to do
This is his part, yeah.
And I text him, I think, right immediately. I said, hey, we got a part that we think is perfect for you to do, and it's right in the beginning. Like, we think it'll introduce the record really nice. And he was just like, send it to me, I'll do it now.
Yeah.
Send him the track, he sent it that quick.
So needless to say, he's going to jump up on stage with you guys tonight and do that song?
He should jump up, you know.
Yeah.
He should,
Jump up,
you
jump
might
off.
see him up there.
Well, just so you guys know, and you guys know out there, I've been following your career for with vested interest for a long time, and this is the first chance I've had to talk to the hometown boys here, even though I've covered you guys at River City Rock Fest 2015, I believe it was, but also going back to Knotfest San Bernardino 2014, which is when I met Jose out there. And fun fact, I don't even know if you guys are aware of this, but if you look at Upon a Burning Body's Wikipedia page, one of the reference articles at the very bottom is the article I wrote for them, covering their Knotfest set, where you guys literally, I'm not shitting you, out of 55 bands in the desert, 3 days, you guys, and I wrote this in the article, that you guys had the biggest pits in Knotfest in 2014. I know you guys have played Knotfest since then, and you played all over the world. And even going back further than that, 2013, I interviewed Chris Cale, bassist of Five Finger Death Punch, at the Mayhem Fest in Austin. And as soon as I told him I was with San Antonio, he stopped me, put his hand on my shoulder. He goes, San Antonio, hometown of one of my favorite bands, Upon a Burning Body. And that was only when you guys had like 2 albums out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I know you guys have toured with Five Fingers. So, in a general sense, I know it's a broad question. Can you just describe the whirlwind? You two are the leaders of the band, just from beginning till now. Has it just been one giant roller coaster of emotion and just hard work and everything you're putting into it?
Yeah, you know, it's you try and you hope, and sometimes you get it, and we're just grateful to have people pay attention and listen.
That's really what it is. I mean, we came from, you know, the south side, west side of San Antonio, and to just be out there, you know, taking over the world, it's just, you know, it's awesome.
Yeah.
People are like, where are you from? I'm like, San Antonio, that's where we're from.
Right.
We're from fucking Texas. You know, and that's why we rep it so hard, because we're so proud of where we've come from, and you know, and what we've become. And
right.
You never think you're gonna have people in your side like Chris Cale, you know, or Ice-T, or maybe Jose, but we are lucky enough that they like us for whatever reason they like us, and it's just, we're grateful for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, you know, that's a good segue. Why is it so important for you guys to, even when you're in other states, other cities, to represent where you're coming from and to tell people you've got the songs that are timeless, that will always be in the set, like Texas Blood Money, the previous album, Straight from the Body, 0210. Why is it so important for you guys to convey that message wherever you go? And a part B, I guess I would say, is a show like tonight, Paper Tiger, does it ever get old for you guys to play a hometown show?
No, I don't know why we do that. To be honest with you, we're bred that way. I don't know. Texan, you know, just like that.
I think people everywhere else too, you know, they think of Texas as this whole separate entity. You know what I mean? And we're stoked to be from here, and you know, it's in our blood. You know, it's in our heritage.
Yeah.
So
it's like, why does a dog chase a cat when he sees him? It just goes.
It just happens.
We just do it. You know?
Yeah.
So awesome. So, you know, Southern Hostility, of course, also. You got a cover of Alice Cooper, Feed My Frankenstein, that finishes the record. Is that one of those where the label came to you and said, hey, I think this would be a good song for you guys to do? Or was it strictly your idea?
Strictly our idea.
Yeah. I don't even know how we picked that. We just thought for, 15 minutes, 10 minutes?
Going through old songs, we wanted to pick something that was old enough, you know, to kind of reinvent, but, you know, it was just tough. We were going through a lot of classic songs and being like, you know, this would be cool, and then we landed on this one, and I was like, this is a song. It's so nostalgic to us because we grew up with, you know.
It was scary for me because I didn't know if I could emulate that kind of style, and to make it more scary, Ruben was like, we'll do it. And then they wrote all the music, so like now the music's done. So if I can't sing it, it's a waste. You know, like wasting everybody's time.
The pressure was on, yeah.
And lucky enough, you know, it sounds like.
Yeah, real cool. Well, speaking of covers, and you mentioned Ice-T, I know there's a couple questions going back to your past, but like I said, it's the first chance I've had to talk to you guys. So what was it like? You guys did Turn Down for What with Ice-T a few years ago. How did you guys come into contact with him? What was it like doing that whole remake?
I'll tell you, it was the first day of that Mayhem Fest that we did, and for whatever, I'll tell you, he told me that he watched us because we were wearing the suits then, and he was like, well, these guys kind of dressing, nice, and I want to see what they sound like. So he didn't think we'd be heavy, and then he came up to me afterwards and said that we were, the next day actually, he came up and he was like, you guys are my favorite band on the tour. I already know. And I was like, oh, wow. Yeah. And then we just hung out, became friends. We became friends with his son who was on the tour. And we got approached to do the Papa's Pump. And we chose that song, and like a light bulb, I was like, dude, we should get Ice to do it. Yeah. And they were like, you think they'll do it? Text him and ask him. I text his son. I said, you think you can ask your dad? You be down? This is what it is, and I laid it all out. And he texts back 10 minutes later, and he goes, yeah, he said he'll do it.
That's it.
And so did you fly to New York and hook up for the video? How did that, or what did you do?
Yeah, well, we did the song, and then when he got the track, he did it on his own in New Jersey, and then we were touring, and we worked it in where we'd have a day off, and we went to some tiny strip club in Queens, New York, and filmed the video. He came out, did his thing. Yeah.
And even around a couple of years before that, maybe you guys were on an episode of Hardcore Pawn, was it?
Yeah.
How in the world? I mean, I turned the TV on one day and I'm like, that's a Pawn a Burning Body. And my dad loved that show, so he was the one who got me into it. I see you guys on there. Yeah. How the hell did that come about?
We were on tour. I'm a fan of the show. I would always watch it. A couple of us actually would always watch it, and it's just one of those things. Like you watch the show, and I was like, let's go. We're gonna get there early. It's not a long drive. Let's go to the pawn shop and just walk in. I just want to see it. And so that's what our intentions were. And we show up, and we walk in, and all these people are filming, and it looks like, and I was like, oh, dude, I think they're filming like an episode today. I was like, this is cool. Maybe we'll be in the background. And this lady with a headset comes up, and she's like, you guys look fun. You want to be on the show? And we were like, really? It's like, is that easy?
That's it.
And she was just like, yeah, you got all the tattoos. You look different. We'll do something for you guys. We like punk rock guys, and we were like, yeah, we're heavy metal. And they cooked up this story and said, Ruben, you guys walk in, do this guitar thing, and then start moshing, and we're gonna throw you out. And we were like, well, let's do it. It's how it happened. Like, we walked in just to see it, and then they were like, you wanna be on the show?
Yeah, it was like they pointed at us.
Yeah, we're gonna be on the show.
Yeah. And then when you watched it backwards, what were you guys like selling?
Well, when we watched it back, we were like real embarrassed. That's terrible.
We're not really good actors.
But it was fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Got some laughs.
You guys, like I said, are the two leaders of the band. You used to be a five-piece, and now, Ruben, you've got all the guitar responsibilities. Of course, when The World Is My Enemy Now came out, you guys had much has been made about the way you promoted, pretended you were kidnapped and all that. Were you surprised, first of all, looking back on that, is there anything you would have done different about that? Second of all, like, what was the conversation like between you guys and Sumerian as far as like slapping you on the wrist, don't ever do that again? But were you surprised that they kept you? I mean, how did that all transpire afterwards?
I think it was just an unfortunate miscommunication on how that rolled out, and we tried to move past it and just do what we do, and if people want to stick with it and pay attention, and that's is beautiful for us, and if they don't, well, then we get it.
Yeah.
What can we do?
Yeah.
And Danny, I was telling off camera earlier, one of the things I like about you guys, especially you as a vocalist, is I'm self-professed, I'm not the biggest metalcore or hardcore fan in the world, but I love the fact that when I listen to you guys, I don't need to pull out a lyric sheet to understand what you're saying, even though you still keep that angst in just about every song, and I can understand what you're saying, you're conveying the message, you do it with the emotion, there's nothing fake about it. Where does that drive come from? Is it the way you were raised? Have you always been that way? Do you just enter the studio every time you make a record with a certain mindset of trying to do that and make yourself unique? What drives you to do that?
No, it's hard to say. When I started trying to learn how to sing, I gravitated towards, for some reason, I said, well, I like these singers, and I learned from the biggest possible influences that I had, which were like Bruce Dickinson or Corey Taylor, who are massive entertainers at the highest level. and I just soaked it all in. How do they do it, you know? And I always said that I never want to sound like anyone. So I started with the intention to create my own voice. So, you know, you pick up the phone and you'll recognize somebody because everybody's voice is unique. And I felt like that was something that was important to me.
Yeah.
And over time, enunciation was just there. I don't think we ever made a conscious decision on like, hey, you should start trying to be more enunciated or, you know, pronounced. I think it was always there. And every record we just said we have to pronounce everything even more and more and more. And it's just where we're at, you know?
Yeah. Well, outstanding. Anything else you guys want the fans to know about Southern Hostility or upcoming Turf Flames? Now's your chance to let them know what's going on with Upon a Burning Body.
We got something lined up in late August, and we'll be hitting the road, so make sure you catch that. Keep an eye out for all those dates. And the best way to support us is to go to our Spotify, hit that follow, show somebody else our music, and just share it. You know, let it be known. You know, Southern Hostility's out.
You got any more videos coming out for the new album?
We're turning the gears.
Yeah, trying to figure out which ones.
We want to wait until we see what people seem to like and do a video for that. You know, because it's cool. Because sometimes you pick a video and it's not the one that everybody ends up really wanting. So, like for this one, we're like, well, let's just let them kind of tell us which one is which one is your jam. You know. So.
Well, outstanding. Like I said, a special night, the Southern Hostility release show here in their hometown, straight from the barrio of downtown San Antonio, Texas, deep in the heart. Like I said, I've been trying to interview these guys for a long time. Their stock keeps going up and up, which makes them harder and harder to contact, which makes tonight extra special. Cannot thank them enough for going into the pit with me and Alamo Trumetal. Danny, thanks so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Cannot wait to shoot you guys tonight. Ruben, we've been talking how we've been trying to hook up, so thank you for finally making it happen. For the guys in Upon a Burning Body, it's Jay Nanda of Alamo Trumetal, reminding you, don't hang them out to dry, hold them up high.